A wonderful way to start the programme. Good afternoon to you, Falter Rove, bienvenue, welcome. How are you? I've got some extraordinary characters here with us today, and some wonderful, wonderful people will be joining us on the line later on. Paul Sheehan here from the Patrick Sarsfield branch, O.N.E, on the Community Focus Programme on Limerick City Community Radio. You're very welcome, and thank you very much indeed for joining us. That was a wonderful little medley. We were just talking about that a moment ago with one of our geniuses here. Actually, listen, I tell you what, let's go straight to this character. Let's get this out of the way. Explain who we've got. This chap is Limerick's answer to Omar Sharif. Some say that he's a direct descendant of one of the three wise men. Well, others now actually are very curious. I will say yes, exactly which one. Yeah, just to get more precise. He's the Jimmy McGee of military history. Do you remember Jimmy McGee, the Mr. Memory? Anyway, I'm going to hit a few magic buttons. Let's see if we can get him on there with us. His name is Pat Brosnan. Good afternoon to you, Pat.
How are you, Paul? And good afternoon.
What do you think of that for an introduction?
Some people would say I was a lost cause.
Okay, so now we know.
I was a no-hoper, you know.
So now we know which one of the three kings we're talking about.
Still a lost cause.
Now, hang on. Now, there's another chap here with us. That's you sorted now. Let's get on to the other chap here now. Hang on a second now. This young fella here, he left Limerick at a young age to go around the seven seas, and I've been going back through his history here. He lost something in Taiwan, picked up something in Hong Kong, got it cured in a billabong in Australia, but still managed to make it home with a bucket load of money. A fantastic member of the Irish Naval Association and of the Patrick Sarsfield branch on the Good afternoon to you, Mr. Garrett Ryan.
Hello.
Is that it? That's
to everybody.
That's all you're going to get out of him now for the next few minutes.
Now, can I say something first?
Yes, go on.
Garrett been all over the world, let's say, and they said I was away with the fairies.
A good combination.
We have two wonderful guests actually on the programme later on today. At roughly 3:15, give or take a few seconds, we have a lovely lady called Victoria Tierney. Now, just to explain a small bit of background. Victoria's dad was a former RAF chappie. He had his 80th birthday, or 88th birthday, I think, just only 2 or 3 days ago. And she's also the grandniece of Sir Michael Sylvester O'Rourke. Now, we'll be talking a small bit more later on about Mr. O'Rourke and about the background and etc. She'll be joining us around 3:15. And later in the programme, now we had this wonderful lady last year. Everyone knows, I think, at this stage what's coming up next weekend, which is the Foynes Air Show. So we'll be talking to Margaret O'Shaughnessy. In fact, we actually spoke to her yesterday. We have it pre-recorded, but we're going to be having a little chat about it afterwards as well. And also Pat and Garrett and I, we're going to be talking to you about some other events that are coming up in the not too distant future. But in the meantime, we're going to head back to music just for a second. We had a lovely opening piece of music there from the far side of the big pond. Oh, just very quickly, I heard a lovely definition of Ireland recently. It's a gorgeous little island 3,500 miles off the east coast of America.
Very good.
Very good. Anyway, now we're back to this side of the water, and we're off to the band of the Royal Engineers. It's Hoedown in the Highlands. All the way you go, lads. Come on, it's all yours. Yeah. Well, thank you very much indeed. That was a beautiful piece of music. We had a little chat. I did a little quiz here in studio with my two wonderful, wonderful guests. We eventually worked it out. I think you would have got there eventually. Indeed. It was the theme tune. Battle of Midway. Yeah. Now, Pat now is getting very smart because, you see, I gave him the answer to, I mean, that's absolutely disgraceful. Now,
that's why I said nothing.
Well, I went to the CBS, getting your retaliation force, isn't that it?
That's exactly it. Now, I'm joined on the line, I hope I've pressed all the right buttons, by a lovely young lady by the name of Victoria Tierney. Good afternoon to you, Victoria. Have we got anything? No, we don't seem to have anything. Okay, we'll have to come back to Victoria, have we got you there?
Yes, you do.
Ah, we do indeed. Victoria, may I please start by reading out a little thing to you? Michael Sylvester O'Rourke was born in 1895, educated at Blackrock College in Dublin.
Correct.
He served in the First World War with the RFC, that's the Royal Flying Corps, which eventually became on to become known as the RAF, when it amalgamated, this is only something I only found out recently, with the Royal Navy. Had their own air corps structure at the time. But anyway, he served there from up to 1922. Up to 1922. From 1919 to 2022, he was a district inspector of the Royal Irish Constabulary. Now, after that, from 1922 to 1925, he served with the Palestine Grand Gendarme, and from 1925 to 41, he was the district superintendent with the Palestine Police. During the Second World War, he served as a brigadier in North Africa, the Middle East, and in Northwest Europe, and he was appointed OBE in 1944. After the war, he was appointed the Inspector General of the Special Police Corps in Germany. And he held that position from 1946 to 1950. I'm not quite sure why we're getting feedback here, but I'm getting some fierce sounds in the back of me head, so I'm just going to try and turn something down here and see if it actually gets rid of that horrible sound. Sorry about that, folks. Where was I? Let's go back to this wonderful, extraordinary young man. From 1950 to 54, he was Commissioner of Police in Kenya, and he was appointed CBE in 1952. And from 1958 to 1963, he was Commissioner of the St. John's Ambulance Brigade in Kenya, and was appointed Commander of the Most Venerable Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem. What an extraordinary gentleman. And that young gentleman we're talking about was your grand uncle, isn't that correct?
That's correct. He's my father's uncle.
Your father's uncle. Now, we're going to talk a small bit more about that chap in a second, but let's just very quickly, because you just mentioned your dad. It was his 88th birthday only a few days ago, isn't that right?
On the 12th of July.
There you are. Happy birthday, sir, wherever you are. We hope you're listening.
In the house somewhere.
He's there somewhere in the house there somewhere listening to all of this. I presume this is coming as a bit of a surprise to him, has it?
Yes.
Yes, he didn't expect you to be on the radio today talking about him.
Not just that. I did speak to my father in more detail about what you were doing in Limerick in the fall.
Oh, yes, indeed, with regard to our parade and our events, yes.
Because when my father came, my father was also in the RAF, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when he came home, I guess he came back to Lancashire to get back to Dublin, and basically you took off your uniform and it wasn't spoken again after that.
And that was it.
I think it's you know.
So this is probably one of the first times, I suppose, that actually has been spoken about, is it?
Pardon?
Is this one of the first times, so that it actually is this the first time in a long time that his career in the RAF would have been spoken about?
Outside of the family, yes.
Outside of the that's extraordinary, isn't it? Now, can I ask a little question?
Sure.
You grew up in Wicklow, isn't that right?
I was born in Dublin and on the outskirts, and spent a lot of time in County Wicklow.
Yeah, because you mentioned...
But there was an avid hunter and fisherman.
Ah, no, that's what I was going to come back to, because yesterday or the day before, you and I had a wonderful chat on the phone for quite a while, and you mentioned something about hunting and fishing and hiking. You mentioned you loved going out hiking and just packing and just grabbing your bag, and away you went off into the wilds.
I still do.
Yeah. I reckon you've picked up some of that stream salt from your dad and from your granduncle. That ability or that thing of, let's get out, let's get going, let's go and do something different.
Absolutely. I've pretty much travelled all over the world, which, you know, certainly my great-uncle did, and it seems to be in us all. The O'Rourke family, only one of them, my grandmother, Molly, she was the only one who remained in Ireland.
And all the rest travelled?
All the rest travelled all over the world. I have relatives, Canada, United States, Hong Kong, Japan. I could go on forever.
It sounds absolutely extraordinary. May I ask now, on a personal level, and again with regard to your dad and to your granduncle, do you or any of the family members, would any of you have any mementos of them and we'll say photographs and documents of them as young men?
Yes.
And I mean, these items obviously are very important heirlooms to you. Would you regularly pick them out and start looking through them and imagining back and thinking about their lives and what they went through?
Yes, I do. And it does help that there was a book wrote about Michael.
Oh, no. Explain a small bit about that, please.
The book is called Michael O'Rourke, Policeman and Artist, because when he wasn't doing what he had to do, his love, like my father, was to art.
Excellent. And
I believe, actually, some of his paintings were hung in Dublin Castle for a time.
Wow.
And they would be in military museums around Ireland. A lot have disappeared, but, you know, I've managed to... When my father met Michael in Berlin, my father was there for the Berlin airdrop.
Mm-hmm.
Michael had sent him over some paintings. Because my father grew up with Michael. My father didn't have any brothers, so Michael, you know, took him under the wing in that respect. And he loved his paintings. And my father recalls him being about 5, 6 years old. He would sneak up behind Michael when Michael was painting. And Michael always knew he was behind him, and he'd get a dab of the paintbrush in the nose.
One of the chaps here, Pat Brosnan here, would like to ask you a question. Pat, do you want to move in a small bit closer?
Victoria, can I just say, with regards to the name O'Rourke, 100 years ago today, this year in the First World War, 1917, we had another famous O'Rourke by the name of Michael as well. He was a Limerick man, and he immigrated to Canada. And he was they say he was in the Royal Munster Fusiliers before he left here. And what happened, he joined up in the ambulance corps in Canada. He was in France, and he won the Victoria Cross and the military medal. And mentioned in dispatches, he seems to be very brave. He went continuously out into the no man's land to bring back wounded soldiers. But subsequently we found out he was one of the oldest to win the Victoria Cross, you know. So the name must be famous when you think of the amount what they've done in battle, like, you know, and over the years with regards to military. But you were talking about the RAF, And just to say, with regards to Limerick, also has a great connection with the RAF, because with the foundation of the RFC, the Royal Flying Corps, back in the turn of the 1900s, one of the first squadrons that they had, they brought it from Stirling in Scotland over here to Limerick in 1910, 1912, prior to the First World War. So a lot of the people in Limerick, the first thing, they actually didn't know what was flying overhead them when they saw the planes, you know. So a lot of them actually joined up, and it was a tradition in Limerick that up to the Second War, up to the 50s and 60s actually, that a lot of young lads from Limerick went into the RF, well, what we call the RAF, like, you know.
Sure.
But when you look back over the years, and you say with North Munster in particular, with our military tradition, what we have here, we have a great music background as well. Of course, we have Gary Owen and Killaloe, and of course Tipperary, you know. So the tradition seems to come with the Irish, you know.
Absolutely, and my father, he is starting to suffer a little from Alzheimer's.
Oh, God bless him, yeah.
But even, he, you know, like today, he can tell me what he had for breakfast when he was 4, so we're having a good day. He knows a lot about Limerick, and especially the museum, and he was able to tell me a lot more information about the museum than I even knew, because and the flying planes and so forth. And he actually said that after World War II, I guess there was a base there, and a lot of the planes came in after World War II also.
That's right, yeah. And do you know, Victoria, we have our show next week below in Foynes, actually.
I did not know that.
Did you not
know
that?
It's an air show. There's the Foynes air show is on next week.
That's right, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's some historic aircraft actually turning up for that event as well too, isn't there?
There are,
yeah.
But coming back, just out of curiosity, if we just stick with the RAF and their visit to Limerick, I was doing a small bit more reading about that. I was under the original impression that there was only 2 or 3 aircraft. There was actually 6 that arrived here. There was 8 originally scheduled. Right. 1 crashed in Dublin, and 1 had a problem with propellers or something, mechanical problems and didn't make it. Now, the crew were perfectly safe. They were okay. But 6 eventually made it to Limerick, and I didn't actually realise at the time they actually stayed for nearly 3 weeks.
Yes, right. Manoeuvres. They were doing manoeuvres off down in Cork and Kilworth, and it seems like they covered most a vast area. So they had the RAF involved.
And just kind of a connection in kind of a roundabout fashion there in that regard, Victoria, is that at the time would have still been, when they arrived to Limerick, it would have still been called the Royal Flying Corps.
RFC, yeah.
Yeah, RFC,
RFC. But Victoria, can I just say how much it influenced young kids at the time, having been based outside here in just outside the city, with regards to the influence the young kids. What actually happened in the First World War, where a young lad by the name of Cowell, he came from Carey's Road, where the famous young Munster rugby team come from, mostly Carey's Road and Edward Street, and he actually joined up the RFC, and he wound up to be one of the top marksmen, the aces. I think he shot down about 17 planes before he actually wound up being killed himself, you know, in 1916-17.
I did read about him last year when we were doing Ireland 2016.
Oh, lovely, yes.
And it came up somewhere, and I am full sure that he would have served with Michael.
That's right, yeah, because when you look at the amount of men that were involved in it, I think they had a close affinity with one another, because their life expectancy wouldn't have been long, you know, when they went up, you know.
Well, but Michael was also an ace pilot, and he was very, very fortunate to make it out World War One. There was one point where he got lost in fog and so forth in World War One. Michael's dream also was to play rugby for Ireland back then.
We all have that dream, indeed, yeah.
You've just made a lot of great friends in Limerick now, you know.
Indeed, yeah.
Victoria.
So what he would do, he would run a few miles every morning.
Very good.
Hoping, because he wasn't that tall, but he would hope that, maybe if he could run really well, that he would get picked for the Irish team.
Sorry, go ahead, Victoria.
So when he got lost in World War One, he actually had to land the plane because he knew I'm going to find a road and there's going to be directions. Whether they're in German or Russian or whatever language, I'll know where I am. So he landed the plane, and whoops, he was behind the enemy lines. But because of his he practiced running, he was able to run back, although they were chasing him, run back, crank up the old plane, and get her going and in the air again and head home.
Yeah, the look of the Irish as well.
Only an Irishman would
have that good luck.
Gareth there had a question for you, Victoria.
I was just going to say, Victoria, like your dad and his great uncle and so on and so forth, I too went off as a young age into the Merchant Navy.
Sure.
And then I joined English Merchant Navy, and I went deep sea and all, the usual, went all through all the haunts, so to speak. But as I say, travel is an education in itself. It broadens your horizons.
You must, yeah.
It shows you how the other half lives and so on, Excuse me.
I always found that it puts things into perspective.
It does. It broadens your horizons, and you know exactly then, like what your cousin there, or your dad there, when he got lost, he got his bearings, and then he was able to move on. And then when I went into the fire service, and when I came out of that, I became a carer. You spoke about it earlier on there, the Alzheimer's Society. Excuse me. So, as I say, I know all about that side of the medical side as well, But young people should travel if they can possibly do so,
Absolutely. My own children right now, they're actually in New York traveling.
Very good. I was in New York many times, at Fifth Avenue.
And from the time I was a child, I
up to the Canadian border, yeah.
Victoria, can I just say one thing? Last year, myself and Garrett, we were over in Coventry. There was a 100-year anniversary with the 1st Battalion Royal Munster Fusiliers. Before they went out to Gallipoli, they stopped off over outside Coventry, and they intermixed and married some of the local ladies over there. But while we were over there, we went up to Cosford. It was a big RAF base, and what it was for the apprentices and the technicians. You went in as a young apprentice, and you learned a good trade there, I wondered, did your family have any connections with Cosford?
With Coventry?
No, Cosford. It's just in Shropshire. It was one of the biggest RAF bases in Britain at the time, It was
there were more relatives that went into the RAF. There was Michael's brother also, but he did leave and he went off to Canada. There was another one who, let's see, he was in the submarines.
Submariner, yeah.
And he was quite a charmer, but he was blown out of his submarine off the coast of Ireland, the west coast of Ireland. And I had spoken to, and this is Michael's brother, I believe it was George, and I said, that must have been pretty rough on your mother, your grandmother. And he said, my father said, no, he was absolutely fine. He just broke his nose, and it was a great pickup line with the ladies.
yes, I agree.
My God.
Well, that's taking advantage of a situation. How did you break your nose in a submarine? Yeah. What a chat-up line.
We're in the torpedo room.
Yes.
Victoria, just very briefly, we're going to come... Hello, are you still with us?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I thought there was a little bit of a jump on the line. Just very briefly, I want to come for a moment, if you wouldn't mind, to this coming September. As you know, we have quite a large series of events, a number of events going on here in Limerick. One, of course, which is the National Veterans International Parade.
Yes.
And you're coming down to visit us for that, isn't that right?
100%.
Oh, we're certainly looking forward to that. And last but not least, now I don't want to brush you away, it's just I'm looking at the clock and we have a few other interviews and things to go to. May I just quickly come back to your dad now? I know we've spoken a small bit about your grand uncle. You lovingly called your dad on the phone there the other day when you were talking to me, Papa Louis, right?
Yes.
And he's 88.
Yes.
Right. What we'd like you to do, I don't know if he's listening into the programme, but we certainly want you to pass on our very best regards to him.
Well, he was hoping to actually say hi on the phone, if that's okay.
Oh, is he? If he's there,
Brilliant.
We'd love to speak to him.
Brilliant.
Absolutely fantastic. Please do, if you can arrange it.
Check on him. I can't make you any promises, but and if he starts telling you stories about Germany and
Well, I tell you what, if he starts telling us stories, we'll just kick Pat Brosnan out of the studio and we'll just give your dad all the rest of the time instead. How's that? So have a go. See if we can get...
down in Limerick. There's a couple of guys down in Limerick, veterans like yourself.
Yes.
And they're all having a chat. Would you like to say hello? And
I would just say hello to them.
Yes.
I don't know their names.
Oh, don't worry. Is that okay, guys?
That's wonderful, wonderful.
And these are, RAF veterans and so forth, yeah? And you can maybe tell when you were in Germany and so forth?
Just simply
nothing about the German women.
The Fräuleins.
He's a charmer. See, there he goes. That's Fräulein. No, we'll have none of that now.
Okay, you ready?
Hello, good morning.
Good afternoon to you, sir, and how are you?
I'm wunderbar. As they say in Germany, we are wunderbar.
Well, the very first thing we're going to say from all of us here in the studio in Limerick, a very, very happy birthday to you, sir.
Indeed.
Thank you very much. It's also was the 12th of July. I'm mixed up with it in the whole world,
Yeah.
Okay. I'll help you as much as I can, sir. And thanks for...
You're very welcome. We were delighted just to simply say hello. That's all. We're on air. We're talking with excuse me, with a number of veterans on different subjects for the 1 hour, and we would say we're talking to your lovely daughter Victoria, and she just said it was. I said, could we say hello to Dad?
Yes. Okay. So I'm ready. I'm okay. I'm just lying here.
And you're relaxing. May I ask a question, sir? You joined the RAF, I think it was around 1945 or something like that. Was that right?
Yes, a long while back, yeah.
Yeah. And where were you first stationed when you moved overseas? Or did you...
Overseas, I was stationed in a place called Bruckeberg, which is German. Bruckeberg, small town.
And what were your duties there at the time? What were you undertaking to do?
Section. Fire being fire.
Firefighting.
Firefighting. Fire tenders, they used to call them. They would, if an aircraft got into
difficulties.
They would belt out to them and put on various stuff on the aircraft.
Foam and so on.
Yes.
We actually have a retired fireman here in front of us in studio, Mr. Garrett Ryan. Hello, Garrett.
Hello, sir. Pleased to meet you.
Garrett, that's familiar. Yeah, well, go ahead.
You're like myself. I worked in Limerick Fire Brigade and Ambulance Service in the 70s. So as you say, when you're fighting, we say fuel from aircraft, foam you had to use because the fuel would be lighter than water, would only float on top of the water. So you had to smother the flame.
Yeah.
And like your good self and myself, we weren't paid half enough.
No, you done the best you could, and you...
That's all. I hope for the best.
Everyone did. Everyone did the best they could.
They could. And that's they had great comradeship in that. And you went out to save life and then save property.
Oh, there was various times when your life wasn't...
Oh, yeah, you put your life in danger. People don't realise that because...
Standing beside
flames, licking all around you.
Oh, yes.
And you're there and all it takes is only one boom and...
Some of these aircraft were probably, I don't know, are probably carrying ammunition or that.
Something, yes, and you wouldn't, you may have been aware of it or you may not, but... All it would take is only a little spark and away it's gone.
That's right.
And then you're gone to the happy hunting grounds.
That's right. True on you.
Now, I'm talking about hunting. I understand that you used to actually love to go hunting and fishing in Wicklow. Is that correct?
Hunting, I was fishing for deer all my life.
Oh, very good.
Wicklow too.
So you never went hungry?
No.
Deer, rabbits, live off the land type of thing,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fantastic. Sounds wonderful.
I lived that way, but I used to shoot when season was in season for deer, and I would butcher them myself and give them friends and whatever, anyone that liked them, and that was it.
And nice venison steaks.
Didn't overdo it. I mean, I didn't go out shooting just every day, you saw.
I know, I understand. Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, so, sir, sorry for interrupting you. I'm just looking at the time there because we're looking at the clock. We've a few other people to get to this afternoon.
Yeah.
So, once again, we want to say happy birthday to you.
And thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Look, we are definitely going to get back to you. I've already made this one up in my mind and my own head anyway, that we're going to get back to you and have a more in-depth chat with you for another programme.
Yeah.
And we'd love to have you on air again with us.
Okay, guys.
Thank you very much.
Victoria, thank you very much indeed.
And you, Victoria, thank you.
From all of us here. Listen, have a great Sunday. Have a great day. And we'll be talking again, no doubt. Hang on now. Hang on now. There's a guy here beside me now. Look, I'm telling you, his Limerick answers to Omar Sharif. We've already covered that. Be very careful. He's trying to get your phone number off me. Be very careful.
He's very lonely.
I know, Victoria wants to know, who are you?
Victoria, we're looking forward to seeing you in September for our exhibition and our Veterans March, you know.
And the air show.
At the moment, we're looking for mannequins, you know. What we call dummies down here, you know. We're trying. We have about 6 or 7, so we're looking for about a dozen altogether, you know.
But can I tell you something? There's only one thing better than a man in uniform. You know what that is?
No.
A Limerick man in uniform.
Yes.
Oh, Boulevard, Mahan Colleen, Boulevard.
Okay, now listen, lads. We're definitely going to keep this one, okay?
We are.
We're going to keep this girl, all right? Not like the last one now.
No,
we're going to keep this one.
She's not good.
Victoria, thank you so much for taking the time today to join us on the programme. Have a great weekend, and no doubt you and I will be having a chat again someday during the week, all right?
Yeah.
You're most welcome.
Bye-bye, Victoria, and God bless. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Mahan
Okay,
Colleen.
now
Mahan
what we're doing,
Colleen.
lads, is we're going to play out. I found out from a conversation that I had with Victoria earlier during the week that her dad's favourite piece of music, or favourite musical, was An American in Paris, which was originally, I think, written by Gershwin. So I've come across, I did a bit of searching, but I came across a beautiful medley from it, which was arranged by a chap called Jerry Brubaker, and we're going to play that, and it's especially for Victoria's dad, Lewis Robert Moore. Happy birthday to you, sir. Looking forward to talking to you again very soon. Lovely music there from Jerry Brubaker, a wonderful arrangement of An American in Paris, going out very especially to the birthday boy himself, Lewis Robert Moore. Now, earlier in the programme we mentioned another young lady by the name of Margaret O'Shaughnessy. I had the opportunity to speak to her yesterday. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman. If you're talking about super glue holding something together, she is the girl, she is the lady that's holding so much together at the one time. She runs the Foynes Flying Boat and Maritime Museum, and she is one of a number of people, now she even admits herself there's a lot of people involved in this, the Foynes Air Show. So here is Margaret O'Shaughnessy. Hello, Margaret. Are you there? Hang on a second. I've obviously done something wrong. Bear with me for a moment, folks. Here we go.
Break from your hard work for a while.
I'm at home, Colin. Good morning, and thank you for calling. I'm at home, but I'm afraid both landline and mobile are going all morning. So while I'm operating from home, it's still work at this stage.
Well, you've only a few short days to go to the Foynes Air Show 2017. How are things proceeding for you?
At this stage, I suppose it's the real countdown to the finer, small, minute things that we still have to look after and do, and we'll have those right up to the last minute. But other than that,
yeah,
good Lord will just give us a nice, fine day, Paul.
I was going to say, the only thing you didn't mention was the fact that you're going to Mass every morning this week for us.
Yes, and all the child the prags are out under every bush.
Oh, very good.
But the thing is, because why, Paul? We really want the weather, because this is going to be the most magnificent show we've ever had on the west coast of Ireland.
Well, I recently, Margaret, started looking through again. You have a lovely website about it, I must say. And at the end of this snippet now,
and we're very much active on Facebook and Twitter.
Exactly.
And people can go on there and look and see what's coming. But the lineup, Paul, is just
isn't it absolutely
fantastic? I would never
fantastic?
in my wildest dreams have thought we could bring this selection of aircraft to Foynes. Now,
well, let's be honest about it now, Margaret. Sorry for interrupting you, but we've got to, I mean, you've been doing this for a number of years and building it up bit by bit by bit.
This is a huge bit up.
This certainly is a huge step up, isn't it?
Absolutely. The IAA, the Irish Aviation Authority, very kindly gave us an offer that would we join in under a weekend of aviation, celebrating Ireland's great aviation history, and join with the Bray Air Display. Now, for your listeners, Bray Air Display has been happening for many years and brings about 140,000 viewers or spectators. It's one of the biggest shows in Europe. And now we have got the same show in Foynes. Now, please God, we won't get 140,000 people, because we wouldn't manage that many.
You wouldn't know where to fit them.
No. But what's beautiful about Foynes is we have our aviation history, and this air show helps us to preserve the aviation history of the Shannon region.
Well, actually,
Shannon Airport and all of that.
Yeah, that was indeed something I wanted to just come back onto, was the actual aviation history itself. I mean, that is the start of the whole thing, really, wasn't it?
It is, in that Foynes, believe it or not, this tiny village in County Limerick was Ireland's first international or transatlantic airport, and was known as Shannon Airport long before the Shannon we deal with today. And this makes us a unique little spot, I suppose, in aviation history and in Ireland. And the air show came about because the museum thought it was great to celebrate with people, make people aware of our aviation history, make them aware that we have a museum that they can come to any day up to next November and enjoy that whole history and story.
Now, on the day itself, just by the way, I should just mention at this stage that I, and along with some very good friends of ours from the Irish Naval Association and also from the Patrick Sartre branch O.N.E, we're going to be there on the day. We're looking forward to meeting you all again. We were there last year. We had a fantastic time, weather aside. We still had a great day. We're looking forward to it again this year. But this year, I understand the schedule is starting a small bit earlier this year, isn't it?
There's two things, I suppose, Paul. It's on a Saturday this year. I
Yes.
hope people don't turn up on Sunday.
Precisely.
Not
Saturday.
Saturday. And it is starting early because the aircraft have to go back to Bray.
I understand.
So what I'm begging of people is, if you're coming, come early. We have park and ride, we have parking, but look, there's only one road in, one road out.
Yeah,
and there is traffic diversions from 11 o'clock, the roads close off.
I was just going to say, what time did the roads close at? 11 o'clock they close,
If you come into the show, you can continue to come in, and only air show traffic will come in at that stage. stage.
And when will the show itself start? It's shortly after 1 o'clock, I think, is it?
Yes, well at 12:30, Ballybunion Coastal and Sea Rescue start doing their demonstrations around the rock and finds. The children's entertainment starts, all of that at 12:30. And at 1:30 on the button, no deviation from that, the first aircraft is coming in, and she is the star of the show, and we don't want anyone to miss it. It's an F-18 Hornet, which is part of the Spanish military. Once the F-18 Hornet goes by, then we have, I think it's 30 more aircraft that will go through. And they range like from Catalina Flying Boat, which is coming back to Foynes. This is the first time in 80 years we've had a Catalina Flying Boat at Foynes. We have the Viggen, which is a Swedish jet. Mm-hmm. We have the Irish Historic Flight, which is Stearman and Chipmunks. We have individual, some of the great favourites, our local Irish lads, Davy Bruton, Eddie Goggins, who do wonderful aerobatics. I'm trying to remember them all here now.
And those two gentlemen now would have actually been regulars of yours at the air shows going back over about a few years, yeah.
And we have a four-piece Fuega coming in from France. And we have the Norwegian MiGs and Vampires and Strike Masters.
A lot of these names, I know that people are saying they're probably getting, unless they're actually strict aircraft enthusiasts, a lot of the names wouldn't be too familiar.
No.
But there is one in particular I'm going to mention, which is the Spitfire.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a name that everyone would recognise instantly.
We might have 2 Spitfires coming.
Oh, good heavens. Fingers crossed.
There was another one to come. And this is the thing about aviation, Paul. People have to understand things go wrong.
Yes.
Sometimes it doesn't always be everything we say. It can be something different. But I think there's 2 types of Spitfire coming. But the other thing that's coming, which is very unique, is we have a DC-3 making its appearance in Ireland, and Foynes first and Bray the following day. And this hasn't been seen in these skies in a long time. This is a passenger one.
And that's what we want on the day. We want the blue skies.
We want the blue skies, we do. And there's lots of entertainment for the kids.
I was just going to come to that now. Outside of all that, this is a family day at the end of it. This is what it's about. It's about getting families out together in the fresh air and enjoying themselves. Yeah. Now, what else, you were mentioning, just about to say there, what else was in the background, shall we say?
Well, the carnival will be there for the weekend, which kids love the fun fairs. But I may mention, because you're fantastic at this, Paul, and lots of other stewards, we have, I'm getting lots of phone calls from people disabled or with mobility problems. Once they have the badge in their car,
exactly, yes, indeed,
yeah, straight in, and we have an exclusive area for them, which is a prime site for them to park and watch the show.
It is indeed, actually. I'm very familiar with it. In fact, that vantage point just outside the gates of that car parking facility, with seating there, it's a wonder. You have a great vista right over the whole area.
Yes. And it's very important that we take care of people that have limited mobility or elderly or anything like that. So we do our best there, but just to make people aware of that. Now, going back to your entertainment, we have a load of mascots and characters and Disney characters. We have face painting, balloon modelers. We have exploration dome. We have the huge big screen up with the truck. I'm trying to think. We have a drum circle where the kids can practice doing drums. So all of that, and lots of different food stands. And the museum is open, and we're doing discounted rates on the Saturday and Sunday, and the same for children. So it's a whole day full. The show is about 3.5 to 4 hours.
I was just going to ask you what time, what sort of time. So we're starting on the dot at 1:30.
Yeah, and we're talking about 3.5 hours at least.
Fantastic.
And we have Park and Ride, Dublin coach, who are brilliant to us. Bring down
yes, and they've been with you before, so they're very familiar with the process.
Yeah, and they come out. If you're coming from the west, we have parking. If you come from the Kerry side, we have plenty of parking. 10-minute walk away, and we have 2 smaller buses there that will bring in anybody that might have a problem in walking that distance.
And also on this occasion, you have a wonderful MC, I understand.
Do you know our MC, Paul?
I suspect I might know the gentleman in question.
Yeah,
actually, the minute you mentioned...
We won't even give out his name now. Let people come and...
Yeah. But the minute you mentioned face painting, I suddenly had this flash of an image.
And the other thing as well, of course, just if I may say, that on the following day,
yes,
people really enjoy the day. They can come back out for another free day, totally different, no air show.
Oh, fantastic.
No aircraft, but we're celebrating the history of Irish coffee, Paul. And we have a great gig in that Brendan Grace is a great friend to the museum, and he's doing an outdoor free gig for people on the Sunday afternoon from 3 on with music. And again, lots of kiddie stuff in the carnival. So it's a whole weekend, flying on Saturday and fun on Sunday.
Margaret, that sounds absolutely wonderful. You know what? I'm very tempted to go out every morning and go to that mass with you.
Well,
it's going to work.
People think it happens. There's 12 months hard work goes into it, Paul.
Oh, it does indeed. It does. Listen, you're talking to people from an organisation, and of course the MC would be very familiar with that as well. The unnamed MC, the man in the background, as you say.
Yes.
He would be very familiar with that in the sense that in what we're involved ourselves, people don't realise the amount of planning and time and effort that goes into so many different things.
Yeah. I mean, people don't realise that there's medical plans, water safety plans, there's every kind of plans. You apply for your licence.
Yeah.
The same
street closing licences, everything. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Same thing. And you have to go through that. And I have to, if I may say, with yourself and other people that help us, but Superintendent Tom O'Connor and the members of the Garda Síochána force in the whole West Limerick area are just fantastic.
They're the best.
Now,
they're absolutely fantastic.
I couldn't say otherwise. They give us enormous support, and without that support and civil defence, Josh Kirby and his civil defence, and Red Cross and all of these people, none of us could put on any event, and they deserve a huge debt of gratitude.
Now, one more thing just before we go, just to recap. So just to clarify one or two things, Margaret, the roads close at 11 o'clock.
Yes.
The air show itself starts at 1:30.
Yes.
It goes on for approximately 3.5 hours.
Yes.
Right? In the meantime, when people arrive and when people in the air show is finished, there are a multitude of other events and other facilities and other things for them to look at and to do and enjoy for the day out with the family.
Mm-hmm.
And also...
With some marching band as well.
Exactly. And also, once again, will you just tell us again about the Sunday?
The Sunday is a celebration of Irish coffee, which was invented in Foynes in 1943. So we're putting on from 2 o'clock, we have children's entertainment outside in the square in front of the museum, and at 3 o'clock we have Jason Fallon coming on to do a 1.5 hour concert, and our special guest that day is the one and only Brendan Grace, who will do a free outside gig.
Wonderful.
As I say, discounted admission to the museum, and hopefully we'll have a second day that'll be nice and sunny and people can enjoy. Brendan is always great. He's a great family entertainer.
He certainly is. He certainly is. Margaret, thank you very much indeed for taking the time this morning to talk to us. I know you're up to your tonsils, and I've no doubt now that when you look down at your phone and you spend, my God, I've just spent 15 minutes talking to you, I'd say there's a string of messages waiting for you saying, where are you?
Not at all. Paul, can I say a big thank you to all of you for your support, your help. Without it, none of us.
Well, we've been putting little adverts and little snippets here and there on our Facebook and on Twitter and on our social accounts and things like that, for quite a while now. This week we're going to really be hammering it home. It's going to be a fantastic day, not just for the aircraft, it's going to be a fantastic family day.
And great for Limerick.
It certainly is, it certainly is. Margaret, have a great weekend. We look forward to seeing you next week. Mind yourself and take care.
Thank you very much, Paul.
That was indeed a fantastic, hard-working young lady, Margaret O'Shaughnessy from the Foynes Airboat, we get this right.
Air show.
No, it's the giggles, it's the fit of the giggles. He's at it again. Sir, someone get him out of it. The Foynes Airboat, or Seaboat and Maritime Museum, and she was talking about the Foynes Air Show, which is on next Saturday, 22nd of July. Don't forget the folks. Roads are closed at 11 o'clock. There is a park and ride facility. Air show starts at 1:30, continues for 3.5 hours. Now, very, very quickly, because I'm watching the clock here, I was asked during the week about the Irish Defence Forces badge. And I have a little thing here just to read out about it. The badge design common to all the corps services and all orders of dress is derived from the badge of the Irish Volunteers and was designed by Professor O.N.E, who was at the time the chairperson of the National Executive of the Irish Volunteers. The badge was originally adopted by the Irish Volunteers in October 1914 as the official badge of the organisation. The centrepiece is formed by the letters FF. These letters signify Fianna Fáil. The word Fianna obviously is the name of the ancient military organisation around 3rd century AD, there or thereabouts. And forming was corresponding now to the standing army of the country, and the word Fáil means destiny. So one of the ancient names, in fact, of Ireland was, in fact, Inishfáil, the Isle of Destiny. And Fianna Fáil thus signifies the Fianna, or Army, of Ireland. So there's the background to that. Now, Jeps, I'm watching the clock ticking down here. Very quickly, we want to say thank you very much indeed to Victoria and to her dad, Louis Robert Moore, and indeed to Margaret O'Shaughnessy. And now back to these young chaps too. Look at the hand is up. It's like at school. Moon tour. I will Caligum Dulvini Letters.
A thought occurred to me there when you were talking.
Oh God, that sounds painful. Go on.
And I think been west down by the estuary in West Limerick, and I was reading an article there lately with regards to Michael O'Shaughnessy, and he was an engineer. He immigrated and he wound up in San Francisco. And he was the engineer for the San Francisco area. But what happened, you had an earthquake in 1906 and it devastated San Francisco. So he didn't work beyond his capabilities. He was that good. But what actually happened when we talk about the San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge, and he said it could be spanned actually. And they called him a madman, and he said no. He said they were saying it would cost too much, over hundreds of millions of dollars, and he said no. But he was so busy with regards to his own job. What he done was he advertised and got an American engineer of German extraction. And what actually happened, they actually got the bridge done. But he never lived to see the end result himself.
You obviously have no concept of Einstein and the fact that time cannot be stopped.
Well, this is one for Limerick, because when anyone is over in San Francisco, go and see the bridge and you'll see his plaque on it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed to the wonderful, wonderful chap over a corner for here for me. What's your name again?
Garrod O'Reen.
Garrod O'Reen, that's it. Now you see, that's what I want the old way.
Is Annandum.
And would say the chap that we still reckon is directly descended from one of the three wise men, Mr. Pat Brosnan.
Goes without mention.
Thank you all very much indeed. We're going to play out with a small little track. It's a very, very short one. It's the Garb of the Old Gaul, and it's from the Band of the Foot Guards.